Welcome to the Phyllis Ntim podcast. When it comes to creating pranks or comedy skits consistently, Mbam Uche Henry, popularly known as MC Makopolo, is one of them. He's a content creator, actor, MC, and a comedian who is based in Nigeria. He worked for Pulse Nigeria from 2013 to 2018. He started working as a presenter and then became the head of content production. MC Makopolo left Pulse Nigeria in August 2018 to further build his own brand and has over 200,000 followers on Instagram. He has collaborated with numerous personalities in creating skits such as Z Fancy, Don Jazzy, Etinosa, MC Lively, Lasisi Elenu, and Sele Bobo.
So, how did you come up with your name MC Makopolo?
Um, Actually, the name Makopolo was more like a strike. Came in more like a strike. Like we were talking about certain things, and someone mentioned that hey, why is it that you okay? The person was like, why is it that you're blocking the space like a Marco Polo bus? It was supposed to be like a rhyme and stuff. That was in school. I think that was in my 200 levels in the university. And then before then, I've been doing the whole MCing thingy. I was doing the whole entertainment vibes, but no videos and every other thing. But I was basically the MC, the comedian then in school. But when he mentioned Marco Polo, we all laughed. And by the time I got back home that day, it strikes me. So I went online and I was searching, and then I realized that the Marco Polo boss, actually got his name from the Italian merchant who was perceived to have traveled all around the world, and that's the Marco Polo guy, that is the main guy, the Italian guy merchant. So and then I looked at the bus and I was like, okay, the bus is big. That means at the end of the day, once the bus is on the way, everybody must notice it. The bus is big enough; it conveys a lot of people at the same time. The bus is spacious. It has this comfortability. You can stretch yourself. And I looked at myself as an MC, as a person, and I realized that also I carry a lot of people together when I want to do my stuff. I carry my audience along. I carry people along with me. There's always that whole comfortability, that whole vibe, and then it dawned on me, and and then I realized that it was like a unique name, and I was like, okay, Marco Polo, yeah, that's the name, MC Marco Polo.
Okay, so for how long are you using that name?
I've been using the name for a while now, say roughly 13 years,
Oh, okay. Wow.
roughly.
And where were we born?
I was born and raised in Kaduna, in the northern part of Nigeria, Kaduna.
Okay. And which schools did you attend?
I started from I studied all through in Kaduna until my university, where I had to go down to what's it called, to the middle belt of Nigeria. I started from Queen's Nursery and Primary School, and moved to Research Nursery and Primary School, where I completed, and then I moved to my secondary school from Southern Memorial College. Then I finished up at St. Patrick's College, Kaduna, and then I got admission into Nigerian Defense Academy. Then I later was dismissed on health ground. So I went on to do my diploma at Kaduna State Polytechnic, and then further at the University of Agriculture, Makopolo, where I badged degrees of masters in engineering, and also a big engine, a bachelor's in engineering from soil and water engineering.
Okay. So what you studied in the university is totally different from what you're doing, actually.
Oh, totally. Like I said, I have a B engine and an MSc in engineering, in soil and water engineering. Though my major was environmental and agric engineering. That was my major. That's my bachelor's degree. And then I mastered in soil and water engineering.
And
But then
yeah.
it has nothing to do what I'm doing right now.
Okay. And are you going into engineering somewhere in the future?
I don't think so. For me, I think I basically did that to a point. I I basically entertainment has always been me. I've been somehow, somewhere, I always find myself doing entertainment, even in every aspect of my life. In the most serious part of my life, I can basically find myself doing something entertaining, and So, engineering for me was basically go do it because there's this perception the moment you hear this, stuff like that. So that's like, but plus, my dad always, before he died, he had always wanted, me to study engineering. So it's kind of feeling like that's wish.
And when did your father die?
Yeah, that's been a very long time. I was 10 when my dad died.
My condolences.
No, come. It's by now I think my dad will probably be in heaven. They might have given him like a master's degree in heaven. He's been there for a while. They should have some respect on his name.
You're a creator, actor, MC, and a comedian. Tell me about how you started your journey in those fields.
Well, for me, I think it has actually been passion, persistence, and vibe. And most of the times, there's so much I can do. The world hasn't seen what of the things I can do. I'm a very spontaneous and a creative person. And in my creations, I try to just be me. So, comedy is a part of me. Even though it was something I never really thought I could do, but then it has actually been a part of me. And I actually started with comedy before I realized that I have the capacity to be an MC. And then from there, being an MC, MCing has been the thing I've been doing for like, I think that was what sustained me to the point where I evolved into content creation. So for me, it was an evolution from comedy to MCing. So I kept on discovering myself at different points, and I'm doing this. While I'm doing this, I'm like, oh man, I can do this. And then I add it up, and then I realized, and even in my content, like if you see my content and you actually watch my content, you realize that every content I've created is totally different from what is obtainable because I try as much as possible to do unique content. That's me. Ideas that are fully from my head. Understand? So at the end of the day, it's basically that whole vibe.
Okay. Okay. What are the struggles you initially faced in your career?
Well, I think the struggles are basically lack of support. But for me, I think it was more like an evolution because by the time I came down to Lagos, I was opportuned because okay, I started creating content before I came down to Lagos, and one or two of my content flew, and then Pulse TV decided to invite me, and then I started working with Pulse TV, and that's where I started my pranks from, And then you realize that because of the fact that I had like a platform to, it wasn't really that difficult because all of the productions and all of those other stuffs were basically vibing on what we had or what Paul had. But then again, the challenges of creating your own thing just the way you want it in your head was there, or altering of your ideas and making your ideas look watery to you. All of those things are just basic stuff. But then after I left Pulse, that was last year. I left Pulse, I resigned from Pulse. Though I started as a presenter in Pulse and finished up as a head of content production for Pulse. So basically, leaving Pulse was more like a more bigger challenge for me, not for the fact that it was a good thing, but then the challenges of now having to create my own content, now having to be able to pay all of the logistics and for productions and all of that, you understand? So having all of those availability of funds, resources to create contents to the specifications of your standard, those are challenges and stuff. But then those are the present challenges. But when you're talking about challenges before now, It would be having the platform, getting people to listen to you, getting people to believe you. When I started with pranks, it was very, very difficult. Even though it was on a platform, but then I had people who told me, "Hey, bro, this content you're creating here in Nigeria, they are not going to fly because pranks wasn't a thing in Nigeria. Pranks wasn't a content that people could consume in Nigeria. It was an alien content. Even though we had stations like MTV Base who that were doing the Big Friday show, that was a prank show, more like a celebrity-based prank show. But taking pranks to the ordinary man, to the streets of Lagos, that on its own, it's like a new thing in general. So a lot of people didn't really believe that it was going to buy. But moving forward or moving and shifting all of the whole years to this present moment, you would realize that right now, prank content are like the most consumed content as it is right now because people are beginning to see it as something they can relate to. So all of those challenges of really getting you out there, getting platform, getting people to see and appreciate the things that you do, and getting people to believe in it and accept it. Those were real challenges. Then also resources. It has always been a challenge. It will always be a challenge.
And which content caught the attention of Pulse TV before you actually started working for them?
I had a couple of contents that had gone viral. I think for me, it has actually been always been that viral effect. Because for me, I think it's basically the originality of the content. There was I had a couple of content that actually, there was the first time P Square broke up. I did a content about that. That content it was virtually everywhere. That was the content that really got positive attention. Then they started following anyway, as of then, Pulse was just starting. Okay,
Yeah.
Pulse was just starting. Pulse was like a startup. I started like I think 3 months after they started. Like I joined them 3 months after they started. So it was more like a startup. And the whole vibe was basically okay, you're new, you're vibing, come let's grow this company together. You understand what I'm trying to say? But then the availability of resources and logistics was there because it was a company, it was a brand, there was cameras, handymen who were going to handle it, editors, and you understand. So that wasn't like a challenge. There was transportation, logistics, and all of that. But then uh, by the time I joined Pulse, it was also my content was the first viral Pulse content. That we had. France was like the first content to go viral, of course, before we started producing hotspots and the rest of it.
So in which year did you start working for Pulse TV?
I came in late 2013, then worked with them as a freelance in 2014, 2015, then stopped freelancing for a while, then came back in 2016 and worked full time till 2018.
Okay.
2018 August.
Okay. And why did you leave Pulse, Nigeria?
I wanted to do my own thing. I realized that you can never go bigger in life if you work for someone. No, don't get me right. Don't get me wrong. Um, there's a level, there's a limit. There's a limit you will get. There's always a limit you would never ever supersede if you continue channeling all your energy towards building someone else's dream. I had a dream, I had a vision and stuff, and Pulse, together we created magical content, we created all of those whole vibes. And then I realized that for whatever thing I'm doing at Pulse right now, if I channel the next 5 years on building my own brand, it will be better, you understand? Because Pulse is a brand, and at the end of the day, everything they do is to project their own brand. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we wouldn't want to overhype the Makopolo brand because the Makopolo brand is supposed to be internally absorbed into the Pulse brand to make the Pulse brand look good. So at the end of the day, whatever energy I'm putting in, I'm putting it Pulse. You understand what I'm trying to say? But then I realized that if I put that same energy I'm putting in Pulse and I put it on myself, you know, I would be better. And ultimately, I think that was the best decision I ever made in my life because I've been working with Pulse for over, accumulatedly, for over 5 years. And I left Pulse when I resigned from Pulse. I was only at 89,000 followers on Instagram. I had no YouTube channels. I had no other social media platforms and every other thing. But fast forward from August to this very moment, it has been different. Right now, I have over 200 and something thousand followers on Instagram. Have a Twitter, functioning Twitter page. I have a YouTube page that YouTube has made us partners already with over 15,000 organic subscribers in less than 6 months. You know, all of these things are just you just realize that it's better to channel yourself, channel your energy on yourself. Self growth, self building, it's everything.
Okay. Have you acted in a Nollywood movie before?
Um um I haven't, and that is for a reason. I have plans, like for me what I'm building is an empire. And there are so many things I am working on. And my perception to life is if you have to do it well. If you have to do it to the best. It doesn't. I don't support mediocrity, and I try as much as possible to live the best of my life. You understand? So, I feel life is a progress from here to here to here to here. And I always tell people if you jump this process, you might not meet the progress. You understand? So, Nollywood movie for me, it's a futuristic thing, not a long time futuristic thing, but a very soon futuristic thing. There are so many. I write scripts. I've written way over 16 standard, cinema standard movies, full length movies. Now, my debut in the Nollywood industry should be. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go in as just an actor. I like to take control and charge of the directions that I want my movies to go. So for me, it hasn't really been a thing. I've had a couple of invitations that I didn't need to do. Not for the fact that it's pride or no, it's just probably me wanting it to be in a particular way, and I believe that if I process it that way, it will make more value to me. That's why I'm where I am right now.
Okay. You started a prank store in April this year. What led you to
Yeah.
start the tour?
Well, pranks has actually been something that a lot of people have been vibing on. The prank store is still ongoing. I just paused for a little bit to arrange certain logistics. When you start on something, you get to see some few loopholes, and then it's best for you to cover it. Well, the idea of the prank store is basically taking pranks to the 36 states of Nigeria. Now, these are the people who consume these pranks. Some of them think the pranks are acted. Some of them don't even believe in the possibilities of these things. Some of them don't even know how it feels. So we intended to take these pranks to experience of different people and viewers who watch it nationwide. And that is also we being able to get to appreciate the cultures, the diversities of these people, get to vibe with them and just enjoy the realness that comes with their and ethnicity and culture. So for us, it's more like experiencing the Nigerian vibe. how would these people react in this particular area? How would these guys react to a certain pranks idea? You understand? So trying to get real reactions from different people, different cultures, and different backgrounds and orientations. So for me, it has actually been a very, very wonderful journey. So far, we've been to like 6 states, and it has been really, really a wonderful journey, going with your team and vibing and getting to see the way people react, doing pranks that they can relate to. And, for me, it has actually been like a very, very, very good one.
Okay. And what was the toughest prank that you did?
Toughest. Well, toughest, I wouldn't say. For me, I see every prank. Before, this is how it works for me, yeah? If I conceive a prank idea, if I'm able to structure it in my head, then I would be able to structure it in reality. But the moment I am not able to conclude, because this is how I think about pranks for me. I if I have this idea, I put myself in people's mind. I think that's one of the reasons why I've never been beaten or I've never been touched when it comes to pranks. I've never been physically abused or fought before, because I try as much as possible to put myself in that person's head in terms of gestures, orientations, and every other thing. So if I conceive this idea, I think about it from a temperamental person's point of view. I think about it from a calm person point of view. I think about it from a rash person point of view, like from every angle. So in every idea that I think about, I assume different reactions to it. So there's always a possible reaction. I'm expecting a possible reactions from there. It's just once in a very few times that the outcome of what my thought is would be totally different from what is happening on ground. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Probably maybe you see the person doing something else and that's something you never thought about, but then you now realize that the ideas for me are more conceived and produced in my head and then brought brought on to the people on the streets, and then we can actually be. But then I would say the dead body in the boot prank was one of the craziest pranks I've done ever. You know, because holding down the reactions of people when you even see them. There was this guy that even had to urinate on his body. You know, and you just holding it down and just allowing the pranks to flow was more like a very difficult part for it, because at the end of the day you're like, oh my god, like but then I think that was the toughest so far.
You have a mini series called Life in 60 Seconds. How did you come up with the concept?
Well, Life in 60 Seconds was conceived basically from I was talking to my friend and then he was making this face, and it was a very serious when I was talking to him and he was making this face, and in my head I was like, what's this one thinking? And when he was still making the face, and I was like, so wait, what are you trying to tell me now? You are trying to think that I'm scolding you, and I just like was trying to tell him what I thought he was thinking, and funny enough, that was what he was thinking,
Oh, wow.
and and then we laughed about it, and I was like, wait, what if people could actually hear the thoughts of everybody? The thoughts of everybody, and that was where like it's like training, how people could express their life in 60 seconds. Like in 60 seconds, having different people think about certain things, you understand? So, for example, how would we react to a beautiful girl? How would guys react to a beautiful girl walking on the street? Now, I realized for every scenario, there's always a thought. For example, you're in the shower and someone walks into the door. What's going to be the first thought? Like there's always a thought in your mind, there's always an inner thought, there's always that thing you're thinking about at every given instance. So that's basically where the Life in 60 Seconds came from. We decided to like make it a series and just keep bringing different scenarios to it and stuff, and so far it has actually been like a wonderful stride, because we've had so many other celebrities, people jumping on it, and in their own various stores, and it's a beautiful thing. Just the same thing with pranks. When pranks started, nobody was vibing, but today we have so many other people who are virtually eating from pranks. So for me, it makes me, I feel so happy when I get to realize that these things that we perceive and create and just think they are nothing, it's also something that people can actually dive in and vibe on, and make very good impact with, And apart from Live in 60 Seconds, there's also this new series we're working on. It's called the Mugu Map series. So that I've only done 3 episodes of that, and I paused for a bit. But then we're resuming that, and it's going to be like a very, very massive strike.
And what is the Mugu Maps about?
Well, the Mugu Map, it's this. I've always had this character. It's from the northern part of Nigeria, so it had. It's a Malam Habu. I've done quite a number of series. You can check that out on YouTube. It's called the Malam Habu series. Where I get to talk like a nurse and stuff. So why I was doing that as an individual. Then when I got to Pulse bought the concept and also wanted to use the concepts of the Malam, the Northern guy. And well, by the time I left Pulse, I didn't want to do the idea the way I was doing it, So I decided to like induce it in a more creative content direction. So I decided to make the Northern guy. Imagine your Google map is a northern guy. The voice you hear that tells you in 30 meters, take right. That voice. Imagine if the voice is a northern guy that seems to know everything. So imagine if your map is basically that whole vibe that seems to know anything and everything. It knows you personally, it knows your weaknesses, it knows so it basically, and so this is more like the map, and you are me and the driver. The driver is supposed to be taking people from different directions. So it's like an Uber driver that has a map, and the map knows everything. So for each episode, there are different riders in the car. So once the rider comes, there's always that interaction between the map, the driver, and the riders. So it's a funny feel of different directions. Where the map gets to sometimes attack passengers and say crazy stuff and unimaginable stuff. So basically, it's a direction that would take the world through.
You have collaborated with Etinosa and Z Fancy in skits. How did y'all meet and how was it like working with them?
Well, for me, I'm a very few. Those are not the only people I've collaborated. I've collaborated with virtually every social media influencer that is available or close. I've collaborated even in my pranks. I feature a lot of people. For me, I'm more of a collaborative person because I believe in the words that says collaboration over competition. So I'm a very open person. I'm a very in fact, sometimes I don't wait for people to come to me. I go to them. So Tinosa, Zifancy, for everybody I've collaborated with, these are people who are doing well in their different stride. For Zifancy particularly, for the fact that he does pranks and that's something I also do. And he has actually been someone that looked up to me for like a very long period of time. And I like him as a friend, as a brother, and someone who also has the kind of consistency that I have. So basically for me it was like I've always seen him as someone I give my support to, and then having him around on my skates, it's more like a welcome development for better growth. Then the Tinosa has been my friend, and we vibe. We do a lot of stuff. We have done with Don Flex. I've done with Sydney Toka. I've done with La Cici Elenu, MC Lively, Brother Shaggy, like basically, for me, everybody, just one or two we've actually done because for me it's always collaboration over competition.
So did you contact Etinosa and Z Fancy for the skits?
I wouldn't say, like I said, these are people we talk. They are like family. So I wouldn't say I contacted. Um, it's just like you guys are here, and this ideas pop out, and you're like, hey, let's do it,
Oh, okay.
And yeah, let's do it. And then I think when we did the skits with Exynosa, she wanted me to be present at the friend's party. She invited me for a party, and I was actually shooting. And then we went there, and while we're just in ideas, we started. I'm a very idealistic person. I'm always thinking about ideas. I'm always thinking about something. And while we're sitting, I'm like, yeah, we could do stuff here, We
Okay.
did them and then started doing stuff. So basically, it's not like there's always this whole, hey, I want us to do a skit, then we come and, it's basically on the vibe. We just vibe, man.
Have you thought of pranking in different African countries?
Sure, that's the idea. The prank store is supposed to be a worldwide store, but then I believe that charity begins at home, So we wanted to make sure that we are done with where we are.
Mm.
Then we can. It's just like where we started. We started from Lagos, and now we want to Ibadan, Benin, Ekiti, Osun, Abuja, and we're trying right now Edo State. We've done pranks there, so we're trying to see how to saturate other places. Then we can take it to West Africa, then Europe, and then America, and the rest of them.
You collaborated with Z Fancy in the EFCC prank, and there was a boy that was arrested by a man. But what did the boy exactly do?
Okay, so funny enough, yeah, we were getting ready to go out for the shoot, and then we saw this guy dragging a boy from the school, and the boy was crying. So we were like, okay, we called on the man and we were asking him what happened. And while we now realized that the camera guy was actually filming, and then we just decided to like go on, like more like the detectives that EFCCs are, and basically try to find out what the boy did. So apparently, what happened was the guy accused schoolboy to among one of the boys that plucked, I think it was fruit. So they stone into the school. They stone into the school to plug fruits. And when you're trying to plug the fruit with the stone, sometimes you might hit something else. And I think they happened to to have broken a glass belonging to one of the teachers in the school. So basically, he was taking the boy back to the school. And when we saw him, and the boy was really crying and everything. But then we now realized that this other guy was totally scared to the fact that he's a civilian arresting another civilian. And, it was a very funny scenario. And then we were able to save the boy. And the man was also very grateful to God that at the end of the day, it was the real FCC that caught him. But then it was a very beautiful thing, though, getting to know that. But funny enough, the boy was not even among the people who actually threw the stone. But basically, because he was wearing the same uniform,
Oh,
the guy, yeah, the guy actually. So we got to find out. We found out so many other stuff that day. But then it was beautiful.
but was the man one of the teachers?
Say what?
Was the man one of the teachers?
Funny enough, he I don't even think he's a teacher because the ID card he actually showed had nothing to do with school. But then, like I said, I don't know him. Um, we don't know the boy. He only gave us his explanation based on what he said. And then we realized that at the end of the day, the boy was not, because the man too wasn't sure of what he was saying with the boy, and the boy was crying, and so but though we still didn't make the man look stupid in front of the boy, because we were tackling the boy and the man at the same time. So the boy was scared, and then we made him so scared to the point that we told him never to do that again if actually he did that. So it was more like a caution for him, and then uh, a caution for the man too.
What advice would you give to those who want to work in your fields of work?
Just do you. do the best you can, be you, and never ever ever limit yourself, because at the end of the day you are your only strength.
Apart from the apart from some of the future plans that you already shared with me, is are there some other plans that you would like to share at the moment?
Yeah, well, for me, I think it's more like an evolution. Just wait, watch out. You'll definitely see them when they are out. There are so many things. Like I said, the world haven't seen quarter of the things I can do. But then, at the end of the day, let's just keep our fingers crossed and watch for the best.
Okay, then. Thank you very much for this interview, MC Marco Polo.
No problem, sir.